Today, like their sisters overseas, American women are in the war, working in war plants and munitions factories. Hands that once lifted nothing more lethal than a kitchen skillet now help manufacture the world's most deadly explosives. At one of the great ordnance plants in the state of Maryland, women test every type of weapon before it is approved and accepted by the Army. Most American women have sons, brothers, husbands fighting overseas. This is their way of backing them up. The women who do these jobs release men for the fighting fronts. Today, of 16 million American women at work, more than 3.5 million are serving the nation in vital war industries. Women from shops, stores and offices, and those who have never worked outside of the home in their lives, all have volunteered to perform these arduous tasks. Every 50th tank that rolls from the assembly line is brought in to be tested. Women, some of whom have never operated a vehicle more complex than their own private motor cars, now climb into huge armored juggernauts and pilot them over the proving grounds. Women of America have proved their resourcefulness and skill. They work with but one objective, to bring an early victory to the United Nations.
At a United States Army Air Force base in the far western state of Arizona, an American fighter plane comes in for a perfect three-point landing. But the pilot is not American. His name is Lin Yan, an aviation cadet from Chongqing in China. Lin Yan is one of hundreds of young Chinese pilots sent to America by Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek to learn the latest tactics in combat flying. Schooling begins in the classroom. Most of them already speak basic English. Now they must master technical terms. There is no letter P in Chinese, so here they learn phonetically.
And blow as you see me do, everybody. I have written a sentence here using the letter P wherever it was possible. So I'm going to have you say for me, after listening to me, say this sentence with me. The pilot will presently place the plane properly. All together. The pilot will presently place the plane properly.
They study each phase of aircraft construction as intently as though they were seeing a plane for the first time. Yet many of them are graduates of China's own air school at Kunming. and already they have been in battle against the Japanese. Introduction to the famous Norden bomb site is of especial interest to China's young airmen. In the training hall, the student makes his bombing run as though he were over the target. The accuracy of his aim recorded on the instructor's chart. Happiest of each student's training days are the hours he spends aloft. High above their Arizona training field, thousands of miles from their homeland, young China finds new wings. Roaring upon their targets, they attack with deadly purpose and efficiency. They learn how to attack troops and installations on the ground. At night, following maneuvers, they fly back to camp and march to their tents singing a song of the new China. To them, China is home and a waiting family. To them, China is a land being reborn under the leadership of wise and courageous men and women. Now, the day for which they have worked and waited, graduation. Each student has met the rigid qualifications of the United States Army Air Forces and is commissioned a full-fledged officer in the Chinese Air Force. Now, as they receive the silver wings of the Air Force, new students are already on their way from China to take their places. The cream of China's young manhood returns equipped to take up the fight in the cause of freedom. June 29th, 1943. Steaming boldly into Japanese waters, a powerful fleet of United States transports and warships moves across the Coral Sea. The capture of Rendova by combined land, sea, and air forces is now a dramatic chapter in the history of war in the South Pacific. How it was achieved is here told in films. A scouting plane is shot aloft. Planes and ships and men operating more than 5,000 miles from the United States mainland, taking the war to the enemy. Aboard the flagship, Admiral Halsey directs the strategy of attack. The objectives, Rendova, gateway to Munda, huge Japanese Army, naval and air base on New Georgia Island. In the darkness before dawn, the Navy's big guns open fire. Daybreak, and from transports offshore, landing barges loaded with troops brave the dangerous reefy waters of the channel to establish a beachhead. Men tested and trained for amphibious assault carry out the mission with clockwork precision. Within 2 hours, the big barges have put ashore almost the entire striking force. Within 3 hours, regiments and battalions are reformed. Within 6 hours, camouflaged jungle fighters strike inland, driving the Jap back into the mountains. The beachhead is secured. Huge, mobile 155mm cannon, camouflaged and within the protective covering of palm trees, move into position to blast the main Jap base on Munda, 6 miles across the bay. Suddenly, through rain clouds breaking overhead, Jap planes from Munda come out to battle American fighters. American Army and Navy flyers brought down 101 Japanese planes that first day, 155 in 5 days. The Japs are beginning to feel the war of attrition. Following in the footsteps of his pioneer forefathers, the American soldier has been quick to learn the tactics of jungle warfare. Allied air forces play their part in the Battle of Rendova. Land-based bombers dropped 70 tons of aerial high explosives on Japanese positions. It wasn't all easy sailing. The Navy lost 2 ships, but rescued most of the survivors. Many of the men had been in the oil-covered waters for hours. But when they got back and learned that 28 Japanese warships had been sent to the bottom, they didn't mind the ordeal they had gone through. There's not much rest to be had out in the South Pacific these days. Crews keep their ships in battle trim, on the alert. Men sleep wherever they can. Rendova is taken and secured. Ships move on to the next objective.
A guidebook to Great Britain, one of a series on many countries, is issued by the United States Army to promote a better understanding between the American soldier and his allies among the United Nations. Mecca for an endless stream of young Yankee soldiers, most of whom have never before been out of their own country, is London's American Eagle Club, one of 80 Red Cross centers scattered throughout the United Kingdom. With typical American curiosity, the soldier wants to meet everybody and see everything. He sets his watch by Big Ben, miraculously intact after the bombings. The Briton's traditional shyness and reserve rapidly melts before the friendliness of his American cousins. Comrades in arms always speak the same language. Just what language is being spoken here is probably the old story. Whether in a public house or a private home, the American soldier always finds a genial British host. A Yankee soldier and his newfound British friend, off on a holiday tour of London, learn more about each other's country and its people than can be found in a volume of guidebooks. The Americans learn that London's Hyde Park orators are still free to speak their minds. He visits the bombed areas with a deeper admiration for the English people. Outside Westminster Abbey, a boy from Chicago finds a replica of the Abraham Lincoln statue that stands in his own native city. Today, this great country, international crossroad of a world at war, remains firm and steadfast. The people of Great Britain salute their allies.